Welcome back. This is part two with Marnie from Runstreet. Thank you for staying with us, Marnie.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we had a little break and we were just talking about direction and um, I wanted you to say a little more about the strategic, how do you how COVID has affected you and how you had to pivot during COVID.
Yeah, so COVID was it changed my life, like a lot of people. So all my events were shut down and I lost all my sponsors for the events. And that was my main job basically was doing art runs and events, and that just ended. Um, and then I also had some side work that was doing marketing work, and that ended too for small businesses in New York. And
Bit
so
about
then, sorry, what?
the side marketing and the sponsors.
Yeah, so the side, I did some work for like a acupuncture, like kind of as a either a marketing consultant or I would do marketing assistant type stuff. So I have some experience with marketing, and a lot of it I just learned from Runstreet, from trial and error with marketing. But yeah, those jobs stopped. One of them wanted me to come into the office, like because I would go in once a week, and um, they kept insisting I come in, and I was like, I didn't feel comfortable. That was like when COVID, everything was getting crazy. And so anyways, I quit, and then COVID officially shut down the city anyways. But yeah, it was very hard, and I felt a lot of loss, and I lost a lot, and I had to move from my apartment, and it just, things were hard. And then I just kind of pivoted and was learning how to pivot, but it was such a weird time because there was all this stressful stuff going on in the world at the same time. And so I started blogging more and creating these fitness challenges. And I think that's where I realized how much I like fitness, because it helped carry me through like the hard times, because I was like, okay, well, I might not have literally like anything else going on today, but I'm going to get in my run, or I'm going to do my push-ups, or I'm going to do my burpees for the day. And so the fitness challenge like kept me motivated, and so I really had fun. I did my first fitness challenge during 2020. I think it was like in the spring, and then I did some more since then. But I felt like fitness gave me a purpose and gave me some, like, something I felt like I could make progress with when everything else was just going crazy. So that's where I started studying more, and I got another running coach certificate. And then I also got my training certificate, and I studied. That was a lot of studying. And I realized also I really like learning. And so it was a great time to be able to take that time and learn new things.
What certifications did you do?
So I did the NASM personal trainer certification, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and then also the US track and field running coach certificate. I already had the Roadrunners Club of America, that certificate, for quite a while. I think I got that in like 2010. But then I learned a lot from adding the other certificate, and also it was just good for community too. Like we had Zooms, and you meet other running coaches and stuff, and you learn from the instructor. So it was kind of relearning how to learn, these different ways to do stuff. So yeah, since then I've been kind of doing that with Runstreet too, where I'm relearning like ways to do things, and find the best ways to still hopefully feel connected. I hope that people can still feel somewhat connected, even if we're not all, in the same place, or if we have very intermittent art runs, but in the meantime, there's ways they can stay connected.
So have you monetized differently? Like how have you pivoted that?
Yeah, yeah, I did. So I put ads on my blog. I do this women's bloggers network. It's called She Media, and they have an ad system, kind of like Google Ads. And so that helped with my blog. And then I also experimented with like affiliate ads, and um, and then virtual training. So that's something I have a fitness training I can do through an app where I can like create a personal training program and send the videos through the app and communicate there with clients. And also I did more one-on-one training. So this summer I trained people like in the park and stuff like that. And and then also with Runstreet, I started doing the newsletter regularly because I thought that's a good way for people to keep in touch and then also to get new people because I was getting all these new people on the blog where they were just finding articles through Google and stuff. And so with the newsletter, then I was able to kind of bring them into Runstreet.
You make it sound so natural, like you're just like, oh, I just added ads and started blogging and people coming, and it's just like, I mean, it sounds like you could almost teach a course on that stuff. I don't think
Yeah,
it's that easy.
yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't feel like I'm an expert because I'm still figuring it out too. So, like for instance, affiliate ads, I haven't had much success with those. And so I think I'm still figuring out, how it like social media is with the numbers and it's like blogs are a whole nother numbers game. And so it's figuring out how does this work? But I did take classes, yeah. So hopefully maybe someday I'll be qualified to teach a class on that.
When you say blog, who's the host for your blog?
Squarespace.
So does Squarespace help with that, or?
Um, I they have like a lot of tutorials on physically like building the blog and stuff. And I think it's very user friendly for the design. And also Mark, who does a lot of our photographs for our art runs, he's kind of like a business partner with me and we do a lot together. And I was able to hire him for help with like designing my Squarespace and stuff. And yeah, so that helped. And then also I've taken class from other bloggers. One of them has a Pinterest class, for instance. So I was working on Pinterest, and then an affiliate class from a mom blogger that I took. And then also, I'm trying to think what else. I took a lot of class. I took some SEO classes on how to come up more in Google and stuff. So
Yeah, this is making my head spin.
I know it's a lot.
No, but this is I do want to get into it. I'm very much interested in it, but I'm saying that it's not something that's like the average person. The average person has a lot to, but they don't have that expertise, and it's a lot of these things, and I do think it's the future, right? So
Yes.
I would love to learn it as well. I think we should definitely make a time and strategize some of that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially, we're in this age of entrepreneurship, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was just like, how do you make this work? You said
Yeah.
you had sponsors, and I'm like, who were your sponsors?
I had like event sponsors. So a lot of them were hotels that were sponsoring our art runs. So, and also I had in LA, we had Athleta as a gear sponsor. And Cliff Bar has been a big sponsor of our art runs. And so sometimes it's like, yeah, snack or beverage companies.
That's
And
impressive. I don't know. You're saying it so casually, like I don't know if like that's a big deal.
oh, thanks. I mean, I guess it's just kind of fell into it.
Bars, some hotels, some people. They're just, Athletica.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
No, but very seriously, I'm here to learn, and that's why I wanted to talk to you is to kind of pick your brain. I think right now running is in the age of entrepreneurship. A lot of people are entrepreneurializing and trying to move in that space in that way, trying to quit their 9 to 5 or add side hustles and those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So yeah, you should definitely. I think you have a lot to share. So you may not have all the answers, but I think so.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, it's something I love doing too. And I do feel like women and people of color like can really do well because at least in my experience, like when I had journalism jobs, I always had like men who were managers and owners, and I felt like there was only so far I could move up sometimes when it was working for people. And so I think it's a great way for people to kind of take control and say like, okay, I want to not have limited potential or whatever, or I don't want it to be dependent on this person liking me or, something like that.
What kind of numbers are you seeing with the blog?
I think it's at around 20K hits a month right now. So
And
yeah.
then you get the ads based on that.
The ads, like for the revenue,
Yeah.
it's not huge. I mean, the ad revenue, I think it's like maybe like less than $100 a month. So it definitely pays for the blog and stuff, but it's not like I'm at the point where I'm living off of it or anything.
You have to multiply that by, I don't know, 50 or 100 to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not easy. I did my blog, I increased it by over 50%. Like I more than doubled the hits during COVID just by doing it more frequently and doing the keywords. But yeah, then it's how to get to the next level. It's always the thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely entrepreneurial minded, but there's so many like moving pieces, and you really have to like know the tech side, do the person side, and like put it all together. And it's definitely running a business for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of juggling.
Yeah. Is there if you wanted to give someone advice on how to get started, what would you say?
Um, I would say like being consistent would be one of the main things, and that's something I didn't do for a long time. Was I started out by blogging regularly and then I didn't keep up with it. So but I think your readers come to rely on it. So like if you want to do a newsletter, you could also do that instead of a blog, or some people do both. But like I see writers, that's something that I've been looking into. Gosh, I forget the name of it, but there's a newsletter hosting platform where you can do like a weekly newsletter or however many you want. And you can have an option to do paid like membership where people get extra content and stuff. And I think it's something like Stackable or something, but it's a great way that writers now are making money. So I see journalists who, might have been the position I used to be in when I started in journalism, and they're able to, because a lot of journalism is pretty low pay, but they're able to make more money doing their own newsletter. They end up like they've worked for, it might be big magazines like New York Magazine or something, and they end up going out on their own and doing a newsletter, and people subscribe for like $5 a week or something like that, and it actually adds up. So I think that's something cool to check out if someone's interested in doing more writing.
Where can we find you? How can the people find you? I want to make sure that we give them all the links.
Oh yeah, you can find me at runstreet.com, and also the Runstreet Instagram. So it's just Runstreet, one word. And also Twitter, it's Runstreet with the underscore. And then I think those are the main ones. LinkedIn and yeah, also LinkedIn is Runstreet, and the Facebook page is Runstreet also.
So the newsletter, you have to give your email for that.
Yes. Yeah, so newsletter, you can do it. It's on our website. You can sign up for the newsletter.
And the blog is
And
on the website.
yeah, the blog's on the website. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Were you always entrepreneurially minded? Did you start off? How did you get in your journalism?
Yeah, I always was like,
It's like I graduated school and I just started writing a blog, and here I am. Like,
well, mine was, I always liked kind of like, I guess like making money, like hustling, like when I was a kid, I made a dog exercise service where I would run with people's dogs and I would put up flyers and people, I only got one client, but he had a very overweight dog and I would exercise his dog. And then I started a lot of businesses, I guess because I was in writing and I did freelance work then, and I had worked at some newspapers. I started doing my own writing service and then working on some of these freelance sites and getting clients there. And then same thing, I guess, with marketing. I did some freelance work. And then I guess I always kind of like being independent and I feel like I'm self-motivated, so I can just work on my own and I don't need someone to like, tell me when to work or what to do. And it's up and down with the entrepreneur stuff, but it's kind of exciting. I feel like when you make money from your own thing, it's like it's more exciting than if you're getting it from a job or something.
Yeah, and I always said that. I think real entrepreneurs had that mindset the whole time. They didn't like, you know, they were always like that, I think.
Yeah, my mom jokes about because she has all my business cards. I've had so many different little like side businesses and things over the years. So yeah.
Yeah. Where are your parents from? What's their background?
They're my mom's Irish, well, Irish American, and then my dad is German American. And they're from St. Louis. So, but my dad, he's really interesting. He has a strong political science background. He used to be a diplomat, and they lived in Beirut, Lebanon, for a while, and then he was a political science professor. And yeah, so I kind of grew up, learning about politics and stuff like that.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have two sisters in St. Louis.
So you're the middle, the oldest, or
I'm the youngest.
got it, got it. Um, okay. How does that play out? Like being the youngest, are they all entrepreneurial? Were you different in that way, or was it just a?
Yeah, yeah, I was different. My oldest sister is very traditional, and she became a teacher, and she got married and had kids, and now she's a stay-at-home mom. And then my middle sister is like very creative, and she does more like creative writing and stuff. And she also is a really good painter. So I guess I was always the more entrepreneurial one.
Yeah, your middle sister sounds like an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what you're doing, I compare it to artists. I mean, although it's not like painting, but like to make your way in writing and your own everything, like that's the artist life, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do you guys have, what about your sister? Is she like married with kids also?
No, the middle one, she's not. And and my mom's also she likes doing art, so I don't know if it's partly inherited, but she paints and stuff for fun. So I think she got that from her probably.
Absolutely. So you sound like you had a strong journalism background. Do you follow, you said the Times and these kinds of things. Are you still wrapped up in all of the news and all of these things?
Yeah, I do. I follow the news. Like I read the New York Times and I listen to their podcasts a lot. And I like investigative stuff. I used to want to be an investigative reporter. So I do, that's what I love with podcasts is there's a lot of great investigative podcasts. And so yeah, I keep up with it. Sometimes I have to take a mental health break because I get too down about it with the news or I get too depressed. But I do try to keep up with it in general.
I think there's been less investigative stuff. Is it that we're covering it less? Is it happening less?
That's a good question. So when I went into journalism, it wasn't big at all. Like a lot of newspapers, it was just, a bad time for print journalism, but they were getting cut. And so most newspapers don't even have an investigative branch. So that's part of why I didn't do it. There were just like no jobs. And now I do feel like podcasts give me hope and people doing independent media because they're able to do more investigative stuff and get support from their, subscribers and stuff. So like it could be anything. Like I listened to an investigative podcast about Victoria's Secret and how the company has had ties with who was that crazy guy? I think it was Harvey Weinstein or someone like uh Jeffrey Epstein, I think it was. And basically, but how it was also very damaging to women and women who worked there, and the whole model and the image they portrayed, how it was very damaging. And I thought that was a really interesting podcast. And I also listened to one about, it's called I forget what, American Insurgency. Oh no, that was a documentary. But there's another podcast about the uprising, the January 6th people at the Capitol, which was really crazy. And it's very intense, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts about that. And I think there's some really great journalists who are brave enough to do it because it's kind of scary,
Do journalists, are you supposed to have an opinion, or are you just reporting what someone else said?
I mean, you're supposed to be objective, but I feel like, that's impossible for any human to be completely objective on everything. But I think that the good investigative reporters, they interview people on different sides and they try to just kind of tell the whole story. So it's not just showing you one side, which is something I think in TV news and stuff that has been very much exploited. It's like just showing you one side of an issue. And I think the investigative ones that do a good job, they present things as they are, which is more complex a lot of times than what people might think.
Marnie, I think a part of, I want to be positive and just perpetuate this message of, oh, we're progressing and I see, more diversity and inclusion. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't want to label it, but what we would call Republican, big business, those kinds of conservative people, they're pushing hard with a particular agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think like progress in fitness and stuff is different than in the country itself feels a lot more in a precarious position. And it is kind of scary because, like our parents haven't seen it like this in their lifetime. We've never seen it like this in our lifetime. And it's kind of like, where do we go from here? That's when people are so divided that they won't even listen to somebody who in their mind, they categorize as the other side or something. Like, how do you get through to someone like that? Or how do you change people's minds if they have already been led down this road of like miseducation and not being well educated and then being fooled through some of those like Fox News and stuff like that, where they have a lot of propaganda that's not factually correct. And so it's kind of like, and then people will say, oh, that's your belief or something, but some things are actual, facts. And so that's where it's hard to debate once you get to that point where people are saying, look, oh, the sky is not blue. And it's like, the sky is blue. Like there's some things that I think we should be able to all agree on that people can't even agree on right now.
I think if you ask me, that's the strategy, right? Keep them
Right.
arguing, keep them like, if you argue the sky is blue, then we'll never ever get to the point where we're actually talking about the real issue. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. It's not even like oh, we really believe strongly about this. I feel like it's the strategy. Just keep arguing and nothing gets done.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's gotten to the point where when people are like committing violence and doing like joining hate groups and stuff like that, it's gotten out of control. I think there has to be more limits, I guess, of what people can do as far as hurting other people.
Are you comfortable writing about those things?
I tried writing about, but yeah, it's really hard. I didn't finish. I have a Medium where I just write personal stuff on my Medium page, and I was writing about at the time when it happened, where the people with guns were storming the Capitol in Michigan, and I thought that was like very alarming. And it was kind of crazy that I felt like they got away with a lot of things, like intimidation of lawmakers and stuff. But
You said Michigan, not Michigan, right? You mean DC?
oh, Michigan. Well, this was before DC, when in Michigan they had people with guns like storming the Capitol, and they were threatening. And there was also this crazy plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan because of the lockdown against COVID. I think this was in the summer, in the crazy summer. I think it was in 2020.
So this was before the DC.
Before the DC. So I feel like there was a series of events that were very alarming that were kind of building up to DC.
To be honest with you, I don't think I know about that Michigan one.
It was pretty, I guess, and at the time I was in the Midwest, so I probably heard more about it, but I just thought that it was disturbing that it got to that level where like people with machine guns could be threatening the lawmakers and stuff. And so, and even before that was Charlottesville, where there were the white supremacists and the protests. And I think that was something early on that like triggered my, red flag, or the journalist in me, or something, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is really terrible, because not only what happened, but also the president's response to it, where he said there were very fine people on both sides. And so I think that kind of went a whole downward, like slippery slope from there.
Yeah, so you asked me in the break, is the podcast about social justice? But it's about everything that's happening, right? And we're human beings, so we're experiencing it. So meanwhile you're running a running blog, meanwhile you're trying to strategize ads, you're reading these things. So it's really about everything that we're seeing, right? Because it's all affecting us. And I think there's a huge segment of the population who doesn't have time to even think about it or process it. So it's just kind of like happening, and they're just like, and not because they don't care, but because they have pressing issues. They got bills, they got family, they got healthcare, they got, so it's just kind of like someone else. So the people who do care about it, who do have an opinion, I'm like, let's talk about it, because it's very, very important. And those people are also listening. So they're like, oh yeah, I didn't have time before, but now that you're mentioning it, it's serious.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think sometimes like I'm just like in business mode, and then it's hard to transition, but I definitely like to talk about it. And now I realize I probably have consumed a lot of media about like with the investigative journalism about these different things. But I don't know like how, a lot of times I don't know how to make sense of it all, or like, but just talking about it, it is helpful, I think.
Yeah, so exactly. And I'll tell you one thing about me. I don't read a lot of things because I feel like it starts to affect my mental health, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of out of the loop, right? So I know a lot of people who are way more informed than me, and if I was as informed as them, it would be hard for me to just go to work and do my regular day-to-day things.
Right. Yeah.
These things are happening, and I'm like, wait, there was this, they stormed the Capitol in Michigan before DC, and it's, to me, there's an obvious connection there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about it. One of the things that I'm looking to do more of is have more panels and talk more about things, because I think people get so much biased news
Mhm.
that they could benefit from hearing unbiased or people like them processing some of the things.
That's true. Yeah. I think it's great to talk. Like I usually talk to Mark, my friend who does the art photography and stuff, and he has a background in sociology and psychology. And I think a lot of people don't realize a lot of times like what we're doing right now for a job or how we get paid or something, that's not necessarily, like you said, it's not like your whole story. So then it's good to be able to talk about the other stuff too.
Yeah. You know, as we're talking now, I'm thinking about 2020, right? Somewhere February, March, that's when we went in lockdown. And I think the summer kind of helped a little bit because you could social distance and be outside with people.
Mhm.
Back in for the winter, and 2021, what helped me with 2021 was that the kids went back to school.
Ah,
So the kids were back to school with masks, and we made it through a full year of that. And then the summer came, and this summer for me felt very like COVID was over. That was my whole mindset. COVID's over. COVID's over. So
mhm.
I'm outside, still social distancing, but not wearing masks and those kinds of things. Um, but yeah, the fall began. The kids are still wearing masks, and now we're in the bed of winter, and it's starting to feel like 2 full years behind us, and we're entering a third year. The Omicron numbers are up, so everything is shutting down again.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's like 2 full years, and we're still where we were in 2020. And I'm starting to feel it in my stomach, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I know I feel it. I felt like these holidays were really rough because it instead of, yeah, we thought we were getting better, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, things are actually much worse. And it does feel kind of like, how long is this going to go on, you know?
Yeah. And these politics are a part of it. Did you see Biden and Harris? They were in Atlanta at Martin Luther King's gravesite
Oh
yesterday,
no, I didn't.
and there's this whole voting rights thing going on right now.
Yeah.
How are you processing that?
That I need to get more information about because I started reading some about it. And I actually used to live in Atlanta. And so I was really interested in knowing what was going on. I saw a website where they were talking about it, but I wasn't sure because it was presenting like both sides and it was saying that people aren't being really restricted. And I was like, I don't know if that's right. So I know I have to like, do more research, but I feel like it's a constant struggle, especially in the South, that there's a lot of white people who are like, I'm going to burn this down before I give up any power or whatever. Like there's some crazy people, and I think that the Republicans have really turned into this party of not being democratic as far as letting people have a voice and be heard. So it's pretty disturbing that they would be trying to limit voting rights and that, you know, when we think we by this day and time in history, we would think that this would be like not an issue. And so I think it is frustrating. I know that Stacey Abrams has done a lot of great work in Atlanta and in Georgia with helping get out to vote and register new voters and try to get these people who have been targeted to not be able to vote. And she's helping. So she helped a lot with the election that helped so much leading up to Georgia voting for Biden. So yeah, I don't know. It's a long road.
Voting suppression to me is very un-American.
Yeah.
And for you to be publicly, like, it's one thing when it was covert, right? It was kind of like a secret thing. They were destroying the machine secretly. But when you're like publicly like voting against it and making these legislators so publicly, it's almost like this doesn't feel like America anymore.
Yeah, it's really, it feels more like an authoritarian government, you know, where it's like, we'll just pretend that your vote counts, but it really doesn't. I mean, that's terrible.
It's very surreal. Yeah, I would love for us to keep. So, like I said, I want to do more journalism things. Because I think everyone's paying attention, everyone's seeing these things, and for us to just talk more openly and hear different people from our peers share about it, and have people chime in little by little to tell it like it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking your time today. I really enjoyed having you, and I look forward to seeing you when the weather is better and we could do an art run, maybe
Yeah, me too.
May or June.
Yeah, that would be great. And I'll send you a bunch of podcasts and stuff for reference in case you're interested.
I am. I definitely am. I definitely am. But yeah, I'll definitely link up with you again, and we'll have more talks.
Okay.
So much. Do you want to leave us with a closing word or?
Just thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed connecting, and I'm glad that we can still talk about this stuff, even, you know, if it's not in person. I'm glad that we can still connect.
Exactly. Zoom has like saved my life. And if it wasn't for the pandemic, I think the pandemic kind of pushed me to start this. When I always wanted to have intelligent conversations and providing that for others to kind of participate in. But the pandemic kind of was like, all right, Alexi, what else do you need? So here we are.
Yeah.
All right, Marnie, enjoy the rest of your day. And
Okay. You
soon.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.